Hey guys, what's up? It's B coming from GNA today. So in this comparison today, I'm going to compare the Taurus TX22 to the Ruger SR22. The TX22 is definitely the new kid on the block. This is late April of 2019. It was introduced at SHOT Show of 2019, so it's only been out for a few months. The SR22 has been out since early 2012, but two very good handguns. Let's do this comparison. Now for accuracy, I think I can shoot both of these about as accurately as the other one, or as precisely as the other one. So this first group, I shot at about 9 to 10 yards, somewhere around there, and shooting off a sandbag, that's the group I got with the SR22. The SR22 is on the right on all of these. Each one of these squares is an inch, so you can see that's the group I got with the SR, and then there's the group I got with the TX. There's 2 rounds that are touching right there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 round groups on this. That's a good overall group. Alright, let's try the Taurus on the left side. So then I moved it back about 4 or 5 more yards to about 15 yards or so. And again here on the right, this is the SR, and the reason these look a little bit different is that's where the wood was at to back this, and so it kind of made it look a little bit different. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then for the TX 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then what I did is just from a standing position and pretty much shooting rapid fire at about 9, 10 yards. This is the group I got with the SR. There's 2 rounds touching there, 3, 4, 5, and then on the TX. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Taurus on the left. Okay, so for reliability, I feel like they're going to be in the same, they're just going to be about the same. The TX22, I've personally put over 2,000 rounds through mine, and I did have a few problems at the beginning, but I think most of those were ammo related. And I haven't had any problems in probably, I don't know, 1,500 rounds. Hasn't been very many problems at all. So this thing has been incredibly reliable. And just with the more reports coming out from different people and different sources, that's just kind of what it's going to look like, is that people are having these shoot over and over again with no problems, that they're just very reliable. And so you're definitely going to be good on this. It's not ammo picky. I've shot all kinds of stuff all the way from subsonic up to hyper velocity stinger and that type of stuff, and it shot it all just wonderfully. This is a very reliable gun. Okay, the Ruger has been out since 2012, and it has a very good track record. And so it's just known to be a very reliable handgun, and mine has been the same way. No problems whatsoever from it. Although I don't have as many rounds through the SR22 as I do through the TX22, but the TX22 doesn't have a very long track record at all. The SR does. It's been out for 7 or 8 years now, so it's definitely known as being a very reliable handgun. Okay, so now some things just that they have in common. Number one, they both come with 2 magazines. Okay, the TX22 weighs 17.45 ounces. The SR22 weighs 17.2 ounces, so they're nearly exactly the same weight. Okay, they're both constructed very similarly. They both have polymer frames, aluminum slides, steel barrels. Finish on the TX22 is kind of a matte black, whereas on the SR22 it's kind of a satin type of a black. It's kind of smooth. Okay, and right now both of these handguns cost about the same. The TX22 is about $300. I got this on sale for $300, so I paid nearly exactly the same for these. The TX22, I feel like over the next 6 months or a year, I feel like it's probably going to come down closer to $250, $260, and that'll probably be kind of the going price for it. And so eventually I think the TX22 will be a little bit cheaper than the SR22, but not by a whole bunch. Okay, the mags on these cost about the same. The SR22, in fact, I saw a deal on Buds where you could get 2 of them for like 34 bucks. And right now the TX22 mags, I've seen them on Taurus's website for $22, but I've also seen them maybe on Classic Firearms for like $18. So really the mags are going to be about the same price. Okay, when you compare barrels, the SR22 to the TX22, the SR22 does have a little bit beefier barrel. It's kind of beefier in this area, in the chamber area, and just in the barrel. But both of them are pretty good. You see that for the standard SR22 and the TX22 has a little bit longer barrel. Okay, both of these guns are designed in America and made in America, so that's a very good thing. So you can see a size in the width of the grip there. Definitely bigger on the TX22. See how it's longer. And you can get these base pads here to have a flush one where it doesn't have this pinky if you don't like that. See, the slide on the TX22, of course, is longer. The trigger guard on the TX22 goes out a little bit further. See that the rail on the TX22 is a little bit longer than the rail on the SR22. There's 3 slots on the SR, there's 2 on the TX. They both have a decent undercut underneath the trigger guard here. Both of them have drop-free mags. Although the SR22 definitely shoots them out better. See how it does like that. Whereas on the TX22, it barely pops it like that. Okay, the mag release on the TX22 kind of is flush with where the trigger guard kind of comes out here. So you can't see it there, but it's really in a perfect place where you don't accidentally hit it, but it's good enough where I don't have to change my grip to be able to drop it. On the SR22, you can see it sticks out a little bit. And same thing. I don't have to change my grip at all to be able to hit that mag release, so they're both in a good spot. On both of them, the slide stop is just about the same. They're both pretty good. Okay, so one area which the TX22 is better for me is I like the trigger a lot better. We are clear, no magazine in it, we're clear. So it's, when I first got this handgun, it was right under 5 pounds, but I think after I've shot about 2,000 rounds that the weight has been reduced and it's actually closer to 4 pounds now, I think. But it's just a very, very good trigger pull. At the front, you're disengaging the safety, and then you have to, there's a little bit of take up, but then after that it breaks very cleanly. And then the reset is very short. It's just a very, very good trigger. In fact, of all my 22 pistols, this is probably my favorite one. It's just so nice. On the Ruger, of course, the trigger is a whole different story here, because on this, of course, it's a striker fired. On this, it's hammer fired. And on the Ruger, of course, you have all kind of things going on here. It has a magazine safety, so whenever there's no mag in it, you have a completely dead, kind of a weird trigger, because you can have double action. That's where the hammer's down, and you can pull the hammer back, doing double action duty with this trigger, and firing it like that, which like that it's about a 9-pound pull or so. Or you can have single, which of course the trigger kind of cocks back further, and then at this it's right around 4 pounds. Reset. Reset and break. It's pretty good on the SR22, but I definitely just prefer it on the TX22. It's got such a short reset, and it just feels so crisp and so nice. Hey, trigger reset. Okay, of course, one of the biggest differences is on the SR22, it only holds 10 rounds, where the TX22 holds 16 rounds. And that is a huge jump. And I know I will hear people saying, well, you can get an extended base pad or a different follower maybe, or something that will allow you to have more rounds on the SR22. Well, I know that's going to be true on the TX22. They're probably going to have some kind of base pad they can add, or get a different follower or something to add rounds to this also. So that argument doesn't hold much weight. This standard is 10 rounds. This standard is 16 rounds. Okay, the TX22 is definitely just a bigger framed gun, just overall. And that may be a positive for you, as you just may want a full size to really train for your full centerfire caliber guns. And so that definitely could be an advantage, is just how big it is. And it's actually kind of on the big side, so if you're thinking about getting this for a kid, you may want to test it in the store first to make sure that's not too big, but it is full size. And so you can use it to train for like your full-size centerfire striker fired, like this Glock 17, or like this Smith & Wesson M&P 9 2.0. Okay, another pro on the TX22 is you can get a model without the safety. I saw mention of that in the manual and saw other people talking about it. Well, I saw a video from a guy, and I can't remember who it was now, but he has a TX22 that does not have a manual safety on it. Okay, and at this point right now, all the models of the TX22 have threaded barrels. Some of the SR22s don't, like mine doesn't. I got a pretty good deal on it. I would have preferred to have had a threaded barrel, but I like to try to buy locally, and that's kind of what happened here. Is for getting a good deal on it and buying from my local gun shop, I went ahead and bought this one, but all models of the TX22 are threaded. Okay, the TX22 has a little bit easier breakdown, even though it's good on the SR22. It is easier, I feel like, on the TX22. So drop your mag, make sure there's no rounds in the chamber, pull the trigger, pull back just a little bit like on a Glock, pull this takedown lever down, goes forward just a little bit, that pops off, bring out the guide rod recoil spring, and the barrel falls out just like that. And I can literally have this thing taken down in 5 seconds. So on the SR22, same thing, we're gonna drop the mag, check the chamber, nothing's in there. Okay, put it on safe, decock the hammer there. So just reach underneath here, pull this little lever down. That comes down, and now I'm gonna slide this to the back. And then let it come off the front here. And then there's the guide rod, recoil spring. And got that all taken down like that. Pretty easy. But there is one definite advantage to the takedown of the TX22, is that just in the standard takedown, just like that, the barrel comes free. Even though in action, this barrel is fixed. It stays fixed during action, but whenever you're taking it down, this lever lets the barrel come off just like that. So it's very easy to get to clean, to do any work that you need to on this barrel. On the SR22, the barrel is fixed, it's removable. You can take out that bolt right there and it'll let the barrel loose, but it definitely takes a lot more work to get the barrel off on this. So another good thing to me about the TX22 is that it does not have a magazine safety. So what that means is that even without a mag in it, you can still shoot this thing. On the SR, if the mag is out, this trigger is just dead and nothing will happen. You cannot drop the hammer, which I know that's definitely a safety feature, but there's so many safeties already built into this. I just don't prefer a magazine disconnect safety. Okay, on the TX22, I definitely prefer the texture on this grip. It's just it's not too aggressive, but it's also not too, you know, too smooth or anything like that. To me, it just feels nearly like the perfect amount of texture. I just really like it. On the SR22, it's got these little lines right here, and it's good, but I definitely prefer the texture on the TX22. So another thing that really could probably go either way on this, but one thing that's better for me about the TX22 is just that it is going to be way more simple to use. Like, all you can do is have the striker cocked and with the safety on or off, or the striker is off with the safety off. You can't put the safety on whenever the striker is not cocked. There's not much to think about. So once it's cocked, the striker is pulled back at this point. You can pull the trigger, or you can put on the safety and you can't pull the trigger. That's it. It doesn't matter if the mag's in it. That doesn't change anything. It's just way more simple. On the SR22, there's all kinds of stuff going on with these safeties, with the double action, single action, with the safety, with the mag disconnect safety. There's just so many different possibilities of being ready, of not being ready, that the TX22 is just a way simpler gun to use. Okay, now the next thing here, and this may just be a fluke, and I know I'm probably in a super minority on this, but I mean, it happened to me, so I'm going to mention it. Okay, this is the barrel from my TX22, and like I said, I've shot 2,000 rounds through this, and I have probably dry fired it hundreds of times. And it doesn't say anywhere in the manual, but the designer of the gun at SHOT Show said that it's perfectly dry fire safe. And so far, there is no damage at all. There's no damage at all to the breech face on the barrel for the TX22. I've just very recently bought my SR22. I've wanted one for a long time and just recently bought it. And in the manual for the SR22, it says that you can dry fire it. Okay, and I probably dry fired this 10 times, maybe 15 times. But you can see right there on the top of the chamber, right there on the breech face, that there is already actually damage from the firing pin striking that. And there's a tiny little bit of metal that's already been pushed down into chamber. Now, like I said, I'm probably in a very small minority, but I did look it up and I've seen some guys saying that they have had this problem. Now, I'll talk about this in a little bit, but the good thing about Ruger is their warranty. They don't state one, but they are extremely good about dealing with problems like this. I haven't called them yet. I'm going to call them the next couple days. I know they're going to take care of me. They'll pay shipping both ways, and I'll get a brand new barrel. I mean, I'm always very careful not to dry fire. I'm very careful with my 22s especially. And I saw that in the manual and I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. Well, that's exactly why I don't like to dry fire. Okay, so now some areas where the SR22 is better. Okay, it does have 10 rounds, but this mag is made out of metal and it feels like a very good high quality mag. Whereas on the TX22, this mag is nearly entirely polymer. And the only thing that's metal in here basically is the spring. The base pad, the little thing that clips into the base pad, the feed lips, everything is polymer. So the SR22 definitely gives more confidence in that fact that you've got a good, nice metal mag. And this little tab used to pull it down is pretty easy to grab onto and it works pretty good. On the TX22, they're not quite as easy to grab. I mean, it's easy enough to load, but this mag is definitely better on that on the SR22. Okay, so another thing on the SR22 is that obviously this is a Ruger. And the thing about Ruger is it's kind of strange, but they don't state a warranty in their product manuals. Most time they say nothing about a warranty. But they are very good about fixing problems with their guns. And you can go online and you can look at it and you'll see that they have an incredible track record. And so when you get a Ruger, you know, like my little problem I'm having right here, I know they're going to fix that for me. And I know I'm not going to have a single issue with that. And I'll do an update on this and let you know, but I know they're going to take care of me. And with the Taurus, okay, so when this came out, it had a 1-year warranty, but Taurus changed their mind about a month after they started selling these, and now they have a limited lifetime warranty. But even with that said, And I know Taurus will take care of you, but there's just no way that they're going to be able to do better than the customer service from Ruger. They're just tops for sure on customer service. Okay, both of them have rear adjustable sights, both in windage and elevation, so that's definitely a good thing. Now, one thing is, on the standard sights here, I prefer the front sight on the SR22 because what they did is they kind of sloped it like this, where whenever light is coming straight down, it hits the white and you can actually see that. On the TX22, the white is up inside of that sight, and so whenever right now I'm like pointing it down, but if you're like this and the sun is shining, you can barely see that white dot. Here, with it being at an angle like this, it's catching all the light and you can really see the front dot on this SR22 better than you can on the TX22. So the TX22 is bigger, and for some people, they may want a big handgun to really train for their full size. So on the flip side of that, the SR22 is smaller, and that to you may be a benefit because you may have like kids who are wanting to shoot, or just anybody smaller framed. This is a lot smaller gun. And so then that's another thing, is that on the SR22, these grip sleeves are replaceable there, or it comes with two. This is the bigger one. You can pop that one off, and you can put the smaller one on and make it even thinner to where this is just very, very small. So you can see they got the two interchangeable grip sleeves. Okay, the safety on the SR22 is better. It just has a stronger detent feeling. On the TX22, it's kind of squishy. I mean, it's okay, but it's not a real strong positive click like it is on the SR22. Okay, another good thing about the SR22 is that it does have double action, single action. So if the hammer is in the resting position, you can pull it with the trigger and fire it double action. So that's good for a couple reasons. One thing is, if you shoot it and you hit a dud round, you can always pull it another time to try to get it to go off. Of course, you don't want to just keep doing that over and over, wasting time on a dud round, but at least you can try to hit it one more time and see if that'll get it to go, and that way you don't have to go through your clearing procedures or anything like that. So that is a good thing for that, is having the ability to basically double strike. Okay, this is shooting at single action. Single action. Okay, I just decocked it, and I'm gonna fire it double action. And so on the double action, you can use that to practice for your full size center fire, double action, and single action guns. Which, by the way, with this right now, I've got a snap cap that I'm using in here so that I'm not damaging that breech face anymore. Another good thing about the SR22 is this hammer. Is if you're trying to teach a new shooter, a brand new shooter, they don't know anything about what's going on with guns, for them to be able to see this hammer and to see what's happening, it's going to help them to understand better about how this firearm works. Like on this TX22, whenever you do that and you precondition the striker, you cock the striker back, they can't see that. They have no idea what's going on inside of here. But on this, whenever you cock it like that, they can see the hammer, and when they pull the trigger, they can see that hammer fall, and they can start to see what's actually happening. So it helps beginners to know how the firearm actually works. Okay, on the SR22, it has a truly ambidextrous mag release. So you can push it from this side, or you can push it from this side. Now on the TX22, it's ambidextrous in the sense that you can flip it to whichever side you want. On this one, I've got it for me for being right-handed like this. But whenever it's like this side you can't do anything. You could take it out, flip it over, and put it where you would eject it on this side. But so this is kind of an in-between ambidextrous. This is fully ambidextrous. Okay, on this one, obviously you've got a decocker, which some people may like that. Okay, on the SR22, you have this little port right here, this little visual inspection port where you can look in there and see if there's a round in the chamber. You cannot do that with the TX22. Okay, you can see they definitely have different ejection ports here. On the SR22, it wraps all the way around to the top. On the TX22, it's just got a little tiny cut right here. Now, one thing that came up with Plinkster22 is he talked about the fact in one of his videos that really for doing suppressing, for shooting with a suppressor, it's better like this because then all the gases only come out the side, whereas here they come out the top and then come back to your face. But the other side to that is that means that on the TX22, it actually gets fouled up inside of the slide up here on the top a whole lot worse than this one is because there's no metal there. It's all going outside of the gun. So, you know, there's pros and cons on both of those. On the TX22, it's going to get way dirtier. On the SR22, if you had a threaded barrel and you were suppressing it, all that stuff is not staying inside of the slide. It's getting out of the slide. So that's a good thing. Also, that'd be kind of hard to see, but on mine, and I've seen several people mentioning this, but on the ejection port right here, it is dinged up a little bit from where the rounds actually hit the top of that right there, that port, and kind of bounce off of that. So it definitely, being that small, those rounds are definitely hitting the slide right there. Okay, so in conclusion, I think really the things that are going to matter about this, that's going to make you decide one way or the other, just a few things here, probably 4 things, is number one, the size of it. Do you want a bigger full size to train for that, or do you want a smaller one for some reason? Of course, the other thing that's going to play into this is that with the Taurus you do get 16 rounds, whereas on the SR22 you only get 10 rounds. Another thing that will definitely sway people is just the brand. I mean, I know there's people who just hate Taurus because it's Taurus and they'll just choose Ruger because it's Ruger. And I mean, I understand that to a certain degree for sure. And then the other thing I think is important is the trigger. I mean, and not just the overall trigger reset, you know, and brake, but the fact that you've got double action, single action, and on this one it's just a single action basically with the striker. Although in just the brake and reset, definitely on the TX it wins for me. So I think those are kind of the 4 main things: the size, the capacity, the brand name, and the trigger is what's going to make people decide. This is B coming from G&A Today. Thanks for watching.